All right, we are joined in studio by UFC star Tom Kong Watson and his trainer, the lovely Miss Maryn Ciarelli. Thanks for coming on. Tom is 16-5, winning 8 out of his last 10.
His only losses by decision. Let's get that
Fact.
clear.
His last coming in style with a knockout victory over Stanislav Nedkov with a knee to the body, followed by some finishing punches.
Yeah, elbows in the clinch, just knees, just brutalised him really until he fell over.
Night-night.
Till the Bulgarian's juice ran out.
Collected a nice little bonus on that knockout, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
This dynamic duo is on the rise and looking to make some noise up the ranks. And we're lucky to have you guys on. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Miriam, can I start with you? I hear you went to Dwyer Middle School. Is this true?
This is true.
My first question has to be, did anybody influence you over there at Dwyer?
I'd probably have to start with my basketball coach,
Really?
Coach Sperber.
Coach Berber?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think he set me in my ways.
He set you on the path that you are
and
today?
from here on out, yeah.
I'm sure he would be so proud. Beautiful, beautiful. When did you know that training was going to be a career path?
When I had to, at some point, give up my own athletic career and retire myself, I'm not ready to give it up. And so this was the next venture.
What were you doing athletically?
I used to compete in Olympic weightlifting.
Okay.
Making a comeback.
And are you making a comeback?
Mom's pushing for my comeback.
Yeah, any chance? Any hope?
It's still to be decided.
The door is
it's still to be
open.
decided.
Beautiful, beautiful. What did you do to prepare? Or did it just come naturally? Coming from the athletic ranks.
It came pretty naturally, given the fact that both of my parents are coaches, both my grandparents are coaches, all of my aunts and uncles are coaches, so it's kind of just in my blood, I guess.
All right, so who's on the card? Do you train other fighters or other athletes that you've been training with?
As far as other fighters go, I just started with Eric Perez.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he won't be able to fight this weekend because he has a staph infection. And then I kind of have Leonard Bad Boy Garcia as well, but we'll see how that turns out this weekend. And Pat Cummings, an up-and-coming fighter, hopefully that will be signed into the UFC shortly. And then I also worked with Misty May Trainer and her
Volleyball player.
Who's that?
small name in athletics.
A couple medals, I think, right?
3-time Olympic gold medalist,
Beautiful.
beach volleyball. So I was
So you
over
got some credentials.
yeah,
Where do you train these athletes that you work with?
Newport Harbor High School.
All at Newport Harbor High
Yeah,
School?
I'm lucky enough. I also coach over there as well. Coach the high school
You
kids.
do?
So
You got the facility over there?
yeah, so I'm lucky enough to kind of sneak the 30-year-olds with beards into the weight room.
I have to have a clean shave every time I look.
Welcoming the new senior.
Yeah, right.
class.
He's a transfer.
Okay, okay. What do you see in Tom that separates him from other fighters?
Other than his sarcasm, probably his work ethic.
His work ethic.
My sarcasm. I was being serious.
No, he works extremely hard. Probably a little too hard sometimes.
I was doing some research on Tom, and his discipline and work ethic are legendary. Legendary.
Wait for it.
So do you like that in a fighter, to have somebody so disciplined?
It's
and
not just
that you
fighters, it's athletes.
True,
If you,
very true.
you know, it's just anybody. It was the same working with Misty. You couldn't ask for a better athlete, and same with Tom. You know, he does exactly everything
What
he's
he's
supposed
told.
to do. I didn't want to go there.
Within
but-
reason.
Within
Come on. Within reason.
So how far do you see Tom going? I mean, does he have a ceiling? Or
Not as far as I'm
concerned.
concerned. I mean,
Do you see him taking it straight to the top?
those are my goals.
Are those your goals, Tom?
No, I want to stop where I am right now.
The
Well, I
sky's
mean,
the
yeah.
limit is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I signed to the UFC, I think someone asked me why I was there, and I said, look, if I don't believe I can win the title, then I wouldn't have signed with the UFC. It's not the sport I'm in. It's not. You better not play. You know, I'm going to get hurt if I don't think I can be the best. So as soon as that happens or doesn't happen, you know, if it doesn't happen, I'll get out of the sport and I'll go and do something else with my life. You know.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's the type of fighter you want to train
And
right there, or
well-
athlete you want to be with.
Right, and I
Working
think
with.
that's probably what helps with our, working relationship is neither one of us do anything half-ass.
Beautiful.
So,
In the sports world, that's a good thing,
right,
definitely.
so we kind of understand each other.
So I have a quick question. What was your, did you have a weightlifting coach ever before, Maryn?
Not really, no. I mean, I'd done various different things. Probably the best well-known person I worked with was John Chainberg in Montreal. But it was on and off, and there's never really a specific sort of program that I've done now, and just tailored it more for, you know, how I am as an athlete. I think where I played soccer growing up a lot, you know, I'm very good conditioning-wise, and now I'm doing almost no conditioning, just Olympic, you know, explosive lifts, and I get my conditioning really in my other training, you know.
Yeah.
All right, Tom. Describe the journey that brought you here. Right now, you're from England,
I was going to
Southampton.
say I drove from Costa Mesa.
I love it. Okay, but the big picture.
Right, so
the
yeah,
big picture.
I basically was doing boxing. I was watching some MMA, Pride, and things like this, and I came to California to train. Trained with Chris Brennan, who at the time had a pretty big gym out here, and got hooked up with Dean Lister in San Diego, and then from there ended up going to Jackson's and was at Jackson's for sort of 5 years, I would say, off and on, mixed in with training in Canada at TriStar, and then now sort of out here at Rain.
Nice. What do you miss about England? Anything? Everything?
You know, I miss the English sense of humour. I still don't think a lot of Americans get my dry humour, and just the banter.
Maryn get
I've
it?
started to figure it out.
Have you found a good place for fish and chips yet?
You know, I did in Minneapolis. My buddy's got a strip club out there, so I did find one out there. Yeah,
They have the good fish and chips there. Huh?
All right, so who has influenced your life to make you who you are today? Who's your biggest influence?
probably, you know, pretty easy for me is both of my parents. You know, I grew up seeing both of them working extremely hard, and just most of them really, I would say, role models.
They pass
now
that
I'm
work.
older, it's just them. You know.
They pass that work ethic down to you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my mum was working in factories, night shifts, you know, 12-hour shifts all the time I was growing up. My dad doesn't take a day off a year, you know, never has since I've been alive. Works every day, works on a farm. So, you know, if you're around that, it's pretty hard to not work hard yourself.
Lazy wasn't really an option growing up.
Not really, you know.
That's a good thing.
So what got you into fighting? Were you fighting a lot, like, as a youngster? Were you
You get
kicking
a lot of
some
fights
ass?
in school.
Bar fights?
You know what?
Brawls.
I think it's different to everybody else, but I don't really think I ever really had any fights at school. You know?
Really? How'd you know you had it in you?
I didn't. I think that's why I tried to do it. You know, when I did boxing when I was sort of 16, 17, I was doing it and going to train. I thought, I need to get in there and see what this is about. You know, you get to that age where, well, in England, look, you go to bars at 17, 18, 19, and everybody tries to think they're somewhat of a tough guy, and you want to think, can I actually do this one-on-one? And then just start doing it because of that, I think. But it's strange. I don't really ever see myself as a guy that likes to fight or wants to fight, but I mean, obviously I do.
But
so.
you love to fight.
Yeah.
Who was the first, what happened when you knew, like, damn, I can beat some ass? You know, I mean, there had to be some switch that you had to get in a fight sometime.
Yeah, I don't really think it's a conscious moment like that, though. I think it's just more like when you win titles and accomplishments along the way, you think, well, I must be doing all right because I'm obviously winning things. So, yeah.
And you haven't been getting knocked out at all lately, so that's always a plus, right?
Well, never. You know, that's one thing. I'm not going to touch on wood, but I would say probably had about 90 fights now and everything. Boxing, Thai boxing, MMA, and never been knocked out. So if that keeps up, that's kind of my goal, is personally to keep that. But it's such a hard sport, you don't ever know, you know.
Never know what's going to happen. What do you find most challenging about the sport? Is it the training, the dieting, the fights? What do you find most challenging? Or something else, something entirely else, like, you know, away from home, social life? What do you find most challenging?
I think most of it's just the training for me. Just you know, what becomes something you used to enjoy. You know, you have your work and everything else, and you go to the gym because you enjoy it. Now you don't really enjoy the training. I don't really like it. You make things that you like. You hate it. You go in there 2-3 times a day. It becomes, you know, pretty tedious. So I would say the training, the fight itself is the fun part. You know, when you get to the week of the fight, I love it because it's a rest and you're gonna have a fight and get paid. But going to the gym 2-3 times a day and doing all this stuff's like, I don't want to do this.
The training. All right, this is a question for both of you. I got. What are your thoughts about performance-enhancing drugs? I've heard you've been somewhat outspoken about this. Is it a problem in the sport? You see you guys looking at each other.
Who wants to go first?
Something's going on.
You should go first because I'm going to lose it right now.
How much time do we have?
Leveling the playing field, or is it a problem? Is the sport clean? What are your thoughts, Maryn?
Well,
you start?
You know, I'm new to the UFC, so
You'll get your chance.
right.
You'll get your chance.
Wait for it. I hate the stuff. Don't care for it. You know, we were a very heavily tested sport in Olympic weightlifting. You know, so it's very similar for both of us. That, you know, obviously there's people on it, and there's people that can get away with it, and there's people that have a way of hiding it, and you know, there's all kinds of everything out there. Not just other drugs, but catheters, and people think of everything to get away with doing drugs, and you know, it's not a level playing field now, and it never will be because not everybody's going to believe in doing that to balance it out, you know, and so the TRT and all that, and I just think that's even worse. I'd rather, you know.
Do they just do the urine test or do they do a blood test?
No, they just do a urine test, yeah.
Would you be against doing a blood test or do you think
No,
that
I
would be
don't.
better?
I think it would be, well, I mean, it'd be better because they could test some more stuff, but really, to me, the only way they can change the sport, if they want to, is you need to do random testing throughout the year whenever, because, you know, I've heard many people, you know, listen to Victor Conte that was involved in Balco talk about this and say, look, you need to be an idiot. This is an IQ test if you fail a drugs test on the date you're going to fight. Because, listen, if they sign me to fight now, September the 12th, let's say, you know, you can go to many people and they're going to say, take all these drugs, and they're going to be out on the 11th. I'm going to pass the test, but you know, I've been.
Are you really
cheating.
eliminating it from the
You know,
sport?
so
You're
you
not.
need random testing. But listen, you know, if they did random testing right now in the UFC, in MMA, 90% would fail. I've no doubt in my mind. That's my figure, and we'll let them do it. You know, that's what they want to do in their life. Good luck, you know.
Do you know when you're in the ring with somebody that's juicing?
Yeah, well, it's not just juice. I just think
Or
there are-
any
yeah,
performance-enhancing drugs banned from the sport? Can you tell?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, I think so. Aesthetically, I think for sure you can tell with a steroid, you know. But human growth hormone, I think as well, depending the levels that they're doing that aesthetically, you can see that. But there's other things, you know, like EPO, all these things that, you know, I listen to a lot of stuff about this and research it, and it's not until you actually listen to it and people knowledgeable talking about it as I think, you know, I didn't know what these guys are quite doing, but it's pretty scary when I think my problem is, look, all right, do it in a 100-meter sprint. I don't really care, you know. You're just running against the clock.
Yeah.
Do it in the fight sport.
Uh-huh.
You kill someone, what happens then? You broke the rules. You're illegally taking this. Do you go to prison? Do you know? I mean, boxing's got more history
You
of
get a
people
fine.
dying. Yeah, in MMA, look, people start doing all this stuff. You
Yeah.
know, let's see what happens
It is
then. You know.
crossing a line. Much more dangerous, you're right, in the fight game than in a 100-yard dash, you know?
Yeah, I get, you know, when I spoke last time about TRT, I had loads of people supported me, to be honest, but a lot of fans came out and said, you know, shut up, dude. Listen, when you're getting older in your career, you might have to take something, this and that. And I thought, you idiots don't fight. You don't have to do this. You're not the one that's going in there risking brain damage, you know.
Of course, yeah.
I'm good buddies with Brian Stan. I talk to Brian Stan a lot, on, you know, and he says to me the same thing. Look, you know, this sport's still so young. We're probably going to look back in 20, 30 years and think, you know, what the hell are we doing? You know, we were fighting like this with these gloves, or, you know, this type of thing, and you know, that's what I think about it. You know, I'm in it, so I've got to try and be pretty vocal about what I think should be changed. You know?
Definitely.
Going along with that question, with the CTEs, it's so huge in football now. I mean, do you know how many concussions you've had in your life, do you think?
With fights, I would think probably just one, you know, but, you know, that football example was a classic thing to me, that they should be looking at these other sports, similar type of, you know,
No, yeah, because I mean
injuries to
that's
the
pretty
brain, and
impressive. I
looking at that.
mean, me playing football, I think, and boxing, you know, for fun with friends and stuff like that. Growing up, I think I had 3 or 4 at least. You know?
Yeah, I mean a serious concussion, but who's to say how many minor concussions I've had in sparring or boxing and things like that, you know? So it's difficult to say. I know they're doing sort of brain studies now comparing MMA to boxing, and they haven't really, you know, it's like I said, it's going to take years before they really.
Well, a lot of the things I've read is that MMA is much safer because of they don't give you an 8 count to get back up after you've been rocked. If you get rocked, they pretty much stop the fight. They'll, you know, watch it, and if you don't respond, and you're done. So you don't take the repeated blows, be able to stand back up and take more blows to the head after you already got a concussion. So at one point they said MMA is safer in that regard.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that though. I used to think that, but I'm not really. That's not really proven. I think that's MMA's kind of sell that is safer. But to me, even if that is the case, look, there's definitely far more injuries on the rest of the body. That all right, yeah, you might not get the brain damage, but you're gonna have arthritis in every joint of your body. Yeah. What's better?
Would you care to out anybody that you suspect?
Well,
I'd any names?
Yeah, I'd out 80%, 90% of the UFC.
You would just throw a percentage out?
Fair
enough.
People think I'm high on that, but I'm pretty sure it's not just MMA. It's most of the Olympics. I think you could probably say 70-80% of the people are taking something.
You ever thought about wrestling in the Olympics?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen me wrestle, but it's highly unlikely.
What do you think about wrestling being taken out of the Olympics? As a fight guy.
I mean, it's ridiculous, really, when you compare the other sports that are in it. But it's all about money. It's all about. I don't think it'll actually get taken out. I think it's about rebidding and money. Do
you think the UFC will have something to do if they do reinstate wrestling in the Olympics? Do you think they'll be one of the driving forces? Because I know it's been a huge issue with fighters.
Not maybe straight up, but I just think with how popular the UFC is getting might make wrestling. I really don't see it even being taken out, to be honest. I think it'd be reappealed and won't be a problem.
Yeah, since it's in like the theme song for the Olympics, it's kind of hard to take it out.
Yeah.
What are your strengths in fighting, and what do you find that you need to work on still?
Well, I mean, I've got to work on everything. You can never really attain being the best at one thing, but strength is just mentally, I think, having had a lot of fights and a lot of different competitions and being around so many different things and seeing other fighters and how they deal with it, I just think mentally I'm better than a lot of those guys, and just always come in shape, always dedicate myself to it, and that is a bigger strength, I think, than any one area in itself.
Styles make fights. What style do you prefer?
I mean, I just like to throw down. I've really got no interest to grapple too much, to wrestle too much. I probably wrestle and grapple more than I do any striking in the last year, 2 years. But every time I fight, that's just, I don't know what it is, but that's how I like to fight, and the fans like it. And it might not be great for my health, but that's how I like to fight, really.
Okay. How I heard you are crowd favorite. Coming out to the ring there's been a lot of buzz about that. Where did that come from? And why did you do it? Are you still doing it? Is it getting the crowd hype?
I think I did it in the beginning to just market myself someone different. Like, hey, look at this idiot wearing a gorilla mask. Really, because even the first couple of shows I had, people, they would leave a show, they wouldn't even know my name, but do you see that guy come out in a gorilla mask? Blah blah blah. Gets people talking. But now I think it's become like a mental thing that it's pretty hard. I've had some opponents where if they come out first and they see me coming out to some kind of love song and with a gorilla mask dancing, they think, this dude's about to have a fight here. What, I mean, is he a psychopath? What's going on?
I think it's hilarious.
Do you encourage?
It doesn't really faze me. I think it actually probably is a good mental game to the opponent.
Definitely. You got to beat him before you even start the fight, right?
Got to try, right? Got to try.
So you've been in the USA now, but you haven't been able to fight in America at an event, right? You've only fought in Canada so far.
Yeah.
On the mainland here. Mm-hmm. You were able, though, recently to fight in London. So what was the feeling like being out there in London again?
I mean, it's great for me to fight in England. I've had most of my fights out there and big crowds. And I mean, I think I fought third fight of the night on the prelims, but, it was the loudest fight. It was louder than the main event. Always had good fan support in England. And I think I would like to fight in the States similar to how Ricky Hatton was. When he would fight in Vegas, they would all come over. And I think just the way I fight is a similar kind of thing, and I just think, despite what I say, American fans might not like some of the things I say, but if they watch my fight, then they'll say, "Oh, all right, well, I'd definitely pay." My thing for fighting is I used to go and pay money to watch fights, and I didn't necessarily care for who's the best guy, but you'd want to leave and think, if I spent X amount of money on this show, I want to be entertained, and this guy's going to entertain me.
You don't want somebody who's just going to sit in there and try to hang on, right? You want a finisher, someone who's trying to finish the fight.
Yeah. Speaking of that, who do you enjoy watching fight currently, and who's box office that you would pay to watch fight? I really, MMA wise, I've never really followed anyone that much because
I'm in it. But, you know, I was a big fan of Melvin Manoff. I think even now he's still got the highest knockout rate in MMA. And it's almost like he really doesn't care how the fight's going to go down. He's just going out to finish you. And you know, people say he hasn't got condition. I've trained with him since I was sort of a fan of him. And I would say he's probably one of the most well-conditioned guys I know. But because of the way he fights,
When you throw everything
you can't physically, you know, if you exhaust yourself in a sprint, you're going to die eventually. So I just like watching him fight because of how he fights, you know.
All right. Who is your dream matchup moving forward? I hear Silva is on your hit list. Vanderlei?
Yeah, I'd like to fight Vanderlei just because of the same sort of thing, how he fights, you know. But I don't see the fight happening, really, to be honest. I think he's going to stay at 205. It enables him to take a few more things. And there's guys in my division. I wouldn't mind fighting Vitor, but really I think I'm going to probably have to win 1 or 2 more fights before I can get to any of these guys that are in the top 10.
As a fan, all I got to say is those 2 fights are unbelievably appealing because I know most likely those fights aren't going to end up on the ground, and it's going to be some heavy leather thrown in that fight. I mean, I would kill to see you and Vanderlei go at it. I mean, I see it similar to the Vanderlei, the last Vanderlei fight where he got knocked out, right?
Yeah, no, he knocked out Brian Stan.
Yeah, okay, it was Brian, right?
Can we get that done? Can we get that done?
I mean, I'm
Sooner
trying to.
rather than later.
I'm trying to.
You're friends with Brian, so there's a
Sooner
little
rather
revenge.
than later.
Well, that's why I wanted to fight him really in the beginning, but
As a revenge factor for your friend.
we'll see. I don't from speaking to, you know, the people involved that match the fights. I don't.
Vanderlei's ducking you because you've never been knocked out.
I don't
Is
know.
he
I don't know if
ducking
he's
you?
ducking me. You know,
Tom, is he ducking you?
I don't know if he knows. No.
All right. What about? I mean, I know you said before. I thought I heard you say that you didn't really want to call out Bisping because you thought it was a little disrespectful. You know that he's lost to some of the best fighters in the world so far, but being that he's a countryman, is that someone that you would really enjoy looking forward to fighting?
You know what? I think with Bisping, the only thing I think is that fight would have to be in England, and they could sell a stadium, you know, because I've got a big fan base there, and the last couple of shows in England have been sort of 10, 12,000, but I actually think summertime they'll probably sell 30,000 like they used to do with domestic British boxing fights, you know. And but we'll see. I mean, he's going to fight Belcher coming up, and if he loses that fight, you know, he's lost his last 2 fights. And
although there were 2 champion caliber fighters, yeah.
But you know, right now in the UFC, we lose 2 fights. I don't know.
That's John
He's
Fitch,
going
right?
to be pretty well paid. I don't know where he's going to be then.
Yeah. What is your country? I mean, would you say he was the first major MMA guy to come out of there that really sparked the new European flood of fighters coming over with the tough, you know?
I would probably give it to Ian Freeman as the first guy. You know, beat Frank Mir back in UFC 30 something. But Bisping's the first mainstream guy that's
The Americans knew because of the tough show, I would say, correct?
yeah.
What does the country think of Bisping? Your fellow countrymen, you think? I mean, he's become kind of a villain here in the U.S. He has a big mouth.
Yeah, I think he's pretty supported in England still, though. You see his fights, but definitely, I mean, he's more liked than he is in the States. It's not difficult. So
Yeah.
What do you recommend to youngsters interested in getting into this sport, this dangerous sport?
I recommend that they don't get
They
involved.
don't?
They go and do something else. They pick up a golf club and play that because they can play for
what I was
30,
gonna
40
ask
years.
you. That's what I was going to ask you. What interest do you have away from the fight game? Golf?
Well, I've started playing golf the last 5 or 6 months, but
It's more than just an interest.
Is it? Are you
You
addicted?
got the bug?
Is it
a
hooked?
couple of times a week right now. A couple of times a week.
How you shooting?
Just breaking sort of 90, something like that. So
Frustrating
Good for
sport,
6
isn't it?
months.
Very frustrating.
I'm the worst golfer.
I've got a
on
bad
earth.
temper as well on the golf course. So
That's,
the
that's why I
problem.
don't play. That's why I don't
Have
golf.
a couple drinks. Have a couple drinks and calm down, okay?
That's why I have the temper.
Get so angry out there. House?
Let's see. Recently, I watched the Melendez and Ben Henderson fight last week. I had it, I think 3-2 in a close, fight. I had Ben Henderson winning it, but one of the judges gave the fight on the scorecards to Melendez, and it's come out now that he trains under Cesar Gracie, who Melendez trains under. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's ridiculous, really. I mean, the amount of judges that the commission can put on. I mean, they might as well stuck Nick Diaz as a judge, if it's the same team, the same camp. Ridiculous.
I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I can't believe that they let that slide. And we talked about it earlier. It's like they just need better judges. They needed more MMA friendly judges who weren't from the old boxing days. You know, is that what you said? Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think another thing they could do as well is I think they could have the judges maybe watch it on a TV screen out of the arena, something like that. You know, because that can make a big difference.
Not to be influenced.
It can make a big difference too. You know, knowing myself when you fight in a home area, a lot of the time it can look like things are landing more than they actually are because the crowd make more noise.
That's a very good point, actually. I don't think I've heard anybody really say that. I mean, do they do that in Olympic boxing? There's still a thing, but they do a point system where they all have to hit the button within a certain second or something to get a point scored, right? I know.
I think they're all in different positions in Olympic boxing. I think 3 out of the 4 judges have to push the button or something for the score.
In a certain amount of time to get a point scored.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting concept, though. I like that, actually. It kind of takes the home
because,
crowd
I mean,
out of
really, do they really need to be by the cage watching it? You know yourself, when you go to events, you don't see it as well as you will on TV. So
especially maybe even have a couple cameras so they can have more than one view. If you're stuck in it with someone's back to you, you can't see what that guy's really doing. That's a good idea, actually. I really like that.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Anything? Let's see. How many surgeries have we had now since your MMA started?
To do with MMA, 3.
3?
All within the space of just over a year, I would say.
That's got to be pretty hard on the training.
Yeah, well, it was harder on the mind, to be honest. I mean, the third surgery for my back was depression and just, you know, you think about I can't be able to walk and not just exercise, but, you know, if I can't fight anymore, can I even get a job because my back's so messed up, you know?
Yeah, I definitely know the feeling on that one. Trust me.
A lot of people do.
Football is tough on the body, just like fighting is. I know that.
Well, there's a big fight coming up. Jon Jones, Sonnen. Your thoughts? How do you see this one playing out?
I just think Jones will beat him within 2 or 3 rounds.
And where do you see Jones going from here?
You know, I think a lot of people will push for Cormier to drop to 205. I don't think it will happen. I think Jones probably going to go up sooner rather than later. And I don't know. I think Jones is just so confident when he fights right now. Part of me wants to see, you know, if he didn't win, how would his next fight be? You know, that's when, you know, people talk about a champion. But
Coming back.
But I just don't see it happening with him right now.
From adversity, huh?
You know?
What do you think? You watched the Vitor Belfort Jones fight. I mean, when he locked that arm bar in, did you think it was over right away?
No, not really.
Really?
Not really, no.
Those are long arms. I was kind of shocked that he was able to get that long of an arm. That's a lot of torque. I mean, he said it went worse than he's ever had it go in any training or anything. I know it was bad, and he was able to still finish the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think he answered some questions that, you know, people said he's, you know, it's to prove more toughness than I think a lot of people necessarily thought he had. But, I mean, even that fight, I mean, Vitor, didn't he come into the fight after losing at 85 straight into a 205?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Jones' 2 title defenses are guys going to be coming off losses at 85. So,
what do you think if Jones does move up, him and Cain Velasquez? Who you liking in that fight?
Well, I mean, us heavyweight's another ball game. You know, there's different animals up there. So,
yeah. You could go with the heavyweight that's already there.
Yeah, it's difficult to, you know, he's such a good athlete. It's difficult to say. I think if he has enough time to fill at the weight and be big at the weight. I mean, I know all of his brothers are a natural heavyweight. So, but I just in the beginning, I think it would probably be a case of I don't think he could go straight to the top guys. I think he might have to work his way through that division.
So 2 super fights. I want to get your opinion on if GSP wins his next fight and Anderson wins the fight against Sonnen, you think GSP and Anderson is going to happen?
Yeah, 100%. I think that'll be the fight that St. Pierre will go after. I think that'll probably be a strategy.
I'd love to hear it from a fighter,
yeah?
You know, from the inside, because I don't see St. Pierre wanting that fight personally. There's a lot of good 170s out there.
That cash that comes with it, though, right?
I don't think George is hurting for the money too much. I don't think he's got a lot of pride. I'd love to see it. I want to see it. I know the fans want to see it.
You know, the thing is you got to bear in mind if he's fighting at 17 and he goes to 85, he's not going to come back down. So, I think for him it's more like I'll go there, but I'll go there. That's going to be my fight. I'm not coming back to 70. I'm not anything to do with 70. I could almost see it, maybe not the last fight, but you know, towards the end of his fighting career.
So you definitely see that fight happening before you see Silva going up to fight Jon Jones.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, it just depends if they both win those fights. I think that'll be the next fight.
John Jones and Silva?
No, Silver
okay.
Silver GSP. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, it's exciting right now. Chael Sonnen talking all this smack, and now all of a sudden he's starting to shrink a little bit in his talk, which is something I'm not used to. You heard him, Is that a little strange in your book?
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard him say something this week about, he doesn't know how this is going to go down. He might go down, but he's going to go out fighting. And I thought, what kind of a...
He's going in the fight defeated.
You're beat. You're already, if you say things like that in my book.
Yeah.
Even the Tough series, I didn't really watch it, but my buddy was on the show, and I think people expected a lot more
banter,
sort of tough, and I think he kind of, although his guys were in the final, I think Jones probably walked away with the psychological edge out of that show.
Do you think that works? Running your mouth before the fight, up to the fight?
I think it can work. I think it has it's been proven to Muhammad Ali obviously
Yeah,
did pretty well. It can work and it cannot work, but really, look, talking's talking. It's not the fight, is it? So
yeah, you don't get scared of somebody talking before the fight.
I don't really pay attention to. I mean, you got to bear in mind most people within MMA not very intelligent. They don't really have anything to say. So what can they really say that's going to bother me?
They're not all school teachers like Rich Franklin.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where do you see yourself when your fighting career is over? Maybe some broadcasting, maybe training young fighters. You guys maybe starting some training conglomerate, taking it to the top, or maybe just disappear from the bright lights onto the golf course.
Well, kind of like all those scenarios, really training-wise, I don't really see that now because I'm just in the gym all the time and I don't really see the gym. But, when you retire and you leave it, I think probably you need to fill that void, and then I could see it then. But definitely commentating. In England and Europe, I've commentated.
Have you?
And I've done sort of presenting stuff before, and I think that's stuff that I like to do. But we'll see.
All right, that time has not come.
Obviously, I have the model looks for it.
So where did you find this one?
Well, the guy I live with, I know his brother through. His brother teaches at the high school also, so he said, "Look, you got to, this family is phenomenal for the strength work. You got to hook up," and we did, and the rest is history.
Is this true?
This is true.
So
I thought he found you somewhere else.
From the heavens, of
From the
course.
heavens
But
Craigslist.
Craigslist.
So has anyone given you flack? I mean, I don't know of any other fighters that I've heard had a female weightlifting coach. I mean, is that you've gotten any flack from any of the fighters? I mean, I know
no one's actually said anything other than the UFC magazine came to do a thing, and they were like,
"You've got a little."
Not only do you have a female weightlifting coach, but you lived in a high school. And I'm like, well, I don't understand your point, but.
Well, I mean, I remember Bisping when he went to one of my buddies that started training with him. They asked him where he's training. He's like 24-hour fitness. That's where he trained by himself. My buddy's like, strippers train at 24-hour fitness, bro. All right, you're a professional athlete. You need to step it up and become, serious. And give him credit. He went and did it. He's gotten a lot better in the last couple of years. His conditioning is much better. So
how involved in the training are you? Like diet, lifting, everything, nutrition, or?
I dabble in a little bit of everything. I guess it started.
Do you work with other people and?
When we first started working together, like I said, we were. I had to leave for the Olympics, and then he left for his training camp. So for the first fight, basically, we weren't together at all. So he would send video, I would critique, send back what he had to change. So we were working. He was in Atlanta. We were working across country for the whole first fight, and then when we both came back and got back together, I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone, get my own workout in. Instead of just coaching and then waiting for my workout. So we started lifting together. Okay. We run together. So it's kind of nice. Like I said, it helps.
You guys eat
helps
together,
to have a training
like
partner.
Nutrition and all that stuff. That's very important.
Yeah, we go,
go to a pit fire and get good salads.
Well, the UFC hasn't come up to you yet with a next fight offer yet, correct?
Not yet, no. I said to them, look, can I get someone in the top 10? To which they said no. So I said, okay, give me someone in the bottom 10. Which they said, look, Bisping's already got a fight. Belfort's already got a fight. So I'm just waiting. The thing with the UFC is I need to fight someone that's coming off a win. Generally, they match someone else coming off a win with someone else. So I think it will depend what happens in the next 2 or 3 weeks in a lot of fights coming up, what middleweight, how it goes down,
I mean, in your last 10 fights, I mean, personally, like I said, you fought. The only 2 losses are decisions. One was a split decision. 2, guys that were on the Ultimate Fighter. So
sounds like they could be a little corrupt.
They're company men. If you want to go that route, they're company men. Do you feel like they get the benefit of the doubt on some of those judges, cards?
I mean, I think I lost both those decisions, but I mean, if you want to win a fight by just kind of laying on me and just putting on a boring fight,
you don't like
stalling the action.
You don't like the lay and pray technique of fighting?
I mean, the thing is, it annoys me because it gives wrestlers kind of a bad name that they just blame wrestlers for it. But a lot of wrestlers aren't like that.
No, definitely, yeah.
It's so I don't know. It's just the way it's structured is they're just playing the game, But how do you want to play the game? Do you want to play the game for fun or what? I want to have a little bit of fun while I'm in there. I want to make it fun for everybody else.
Well, if you're having fun, the crowd's having fun. Well, this was great, Tom, Maryn. Thank you so much for coming on. We wish you the very, very, very best.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. In your career, we will be following, supporting. And when you get to the top of the mountain, don't forget us here at Off the Top Sports Talk.
We look forward to interviewing you after your next victory.
We hope you can join us again. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it, guys.
Maryn, thank you so much.
No problem.
And we are out.
See ya.
Thanks goes out to Tom Kong Watson and Maryn Ciarelli for coming on the show.
I can't wait to see who Tom's next victim is going to be. UFC, hurry up and get this guy a fight. Someone in the top 10, preferably.
As always, our tech wizard, Mary Jane Alvarez.
The best.
Master producer, Jeremy Yorba, and Craig Langiati for making us sound so smooth. Showtime for free as always, showing love. For Josh House, I'm Michael Sperber, and we are